What's up, everybody? Obviously, I've been shooting a lot of videos over the past few years, and obviously when I'm shooting these videos, I'm using some little bit nicer cameras. But a lot of the footage I actually shoot on a POV camera, and I absolutely love it because it allows you to get super creative with the shots and really get a lot of shots that you don't usually get with a standard handheld camera or even with your phone. So these are definitely a few of my favorites over the last couple of years. So when I first got the camera, I definitely started playing around with some things here and there at home, but when I really started messing around with it and trying to get some creative shots, I did this 360 flip clip with my buddy Peter, where I actually rode behind him on a skateboard and I passed it through his legs and I pulled it out the other side, and then he did the tray flip and then obviously edited it later. I think that's one of the best things about the point of view cameras, especially with the 360-degree cameras, is since they film everything, you can basically get the clip, not worried about where the camera's pointing, and then you edit it later. So obviously this one wasn't perfect, but something that I thought was pretty rad, and definitely started using a lot more of that passing through just to get those really unique shots. And then a few months later, I was actually able to go to the Snowboy Productions event at Trollhagen called Low Tide. Low tide is better than no tide, and they actually were supposed to have a bunch of snow, and then the weather got warm kind of at the last minute and really melted everything. But the guys at Snowboy pulled it off. They went to the local ice rinks, grabbed a bunch of snow from the shavings from the ice, and made the event happen. So super fun, a lot of super creative setups out there. And I was really utilizing the kind of pass through for a lot of these shots. And right off the bat, they had this A-frame kind of rail tube. It was this really big, I don't even want to call it a rail because it's so wide, but it was basically just a really wide A-frame rail, and they set it up sideways and basically got this shot where it kind of stuck it through to film the tube and then pulled it out. So obviously, as you can see, off the tube through the A-frame and then onto the quarter pipe. So it's kind of fun. You get this shot where basically it looks like you're just getting this tube, and then all of a sudden you're kind of coming through this little A-frame. But I always thought that one was pretty fun. And then you can see on the top of that quarter pipe, there's actually a rail that was kind of above, and I got a couple shots with Kyle Kelly doing a little air to fakie. And then Juicy Joker with the back tail, where it basically kind of took your camera and stuck it through as they came up. But again, another thing with using that pass through, trying to think a little bit more creatively. And then my favorite shot of the weekend was I had this idea, and I knew that the camera has stabilization on it, but I didn't know how much. And I wanted to get this shot of Skiba going over the A-frame. And he basically went up, stalled on the top of it, and then came back down. Basically had the idea to actually throw the camera. So I actually had Kyle Kelly standing on the other side, and I did one shot and kind of reviewed it where we threw it over the top, and I noticed that it was okay, but you could still tell that the camera was flipping. So then we kind of put it on the palm and kind of did a palm toss so it actually spun less, and got this super cool shot way over the top. And it's kind of crazy because I'm expecting to get Skiba going up, stalling, and coming back down, but he spent so much time stalling, and he was actually able to really stall it out that I really didn't get the entire shot, and he came down well after Kyle caught the camera, but still got kind of a really cool shot going way over the top. Something that you would usually need a drone for, but definitely something I want to utilize a little bit more in the future. All right, and then a little bit later on in that season, we actually went out to Copper Mountain and stayed with Kyle, and we went out and got a ton of shots, a lot of really cool footage, especially with Kyle and with Josh Tramby. Both those guys were just stacking clips left and right, and actually made it really easy to get clips with the 360 because we really didn't have to shoot things more than once. And in fact, these next 3 clips were all first try, which is amazing. So first one, just a kind of a basic over the top. I just love this. Tramby does the back lip, and then Kyle comes in with the front kind of lip, kind of front blunt, but yeah, super smooth, and both those guys nailed it first try. I just like the over the top kind of look, and it's literally just me holding the camera up with the stick. And then after that, the next shot is actually a shot of Kyle doing a back blunt 270 out on this long kind of big round tube. And this one actually turned out really well because I actually laid down on the ground and I put the camera underneath the tube. So the shot actually starts on one side, but as Kyle goes over, I kind of swept it out and it ends on the other side. So it's a little quick, obviously, with the regular motion, but in the slow-mo, I love the way that this thing looks because it does. It basically, you get Kyle the entire time. And again, super easy to film just because I just had to get the timing right. And then one of my favorite shots of the entire weekend we were there is the shot of Kyle doing a front blunt over this kind of rainbow rail. Just turned out really, really well. I basically started on top of the rail and just kind of pulled it away, but really showed Kyle flying over the top of this thing, really, really locking in. And I think the biggest thing that I love about this is I was able to get this shot of him where it's paused and basically kind of like a photo, basically, where you're really, really seeing his leg poked out. You can really see his back leg really bent, and just turned out to look really, really cool and really kind of, again, capture the moment and how far he was leaning and how he was getting into that blunt exactly like you should be. And then from there, going into some product videos I was doing, I actually had some of the 686, they do this Hydra Stash, and it's basically kind of like the Camelback packs where they actually have the water and you've got the little tubes so you can drink water and just carry it on your back. But they do a really cool thing with some of their pants and with some of their jackets where they actually have a very, very similar thing, but it actually goes around your waist. It goes in the powder skirt or it goes in the waist of a bib. And the really cool thing is a lot of people have said like, well, what if you fall in that thing? It's gonna pop. And actually we're like, yeah, you can drive over this thing with a car, which I actually did do. But one of the other things I wanted to do is do a video where we actually tested it out. And we did this, I did this thing where I basically dropped it. And I dropped it from about 1 story up, and then I went to about 3 stories up. But obviously this thing didn't break, it didn't pop, but I got this kind of shots where you actually see it falling down and the camera is actually going with it. So basically the way I did this, I had this idea of actually take a bungee cord, and I had a pretty long bungee cord, and I basically kind of clipped it to the camera and I hooked it up to the camera so I could drop the camera, and as it fell, obviously it would fall with the bag. And when it got to the end, it wouldn't just come to an abrupt stop. It could actually have a little bit of give. So you can obviously see when I do the 3-story one, you can see in the shot when we kind of pause it, you can actually see the rope or the bungee cord that's actually attached to it. And it's basically kind of coming down with it. But I thought it was a fun shot. Definitely was something that I want to utilize in the future. But as of right now, I haven't really had any opportunities where I needed to really drop something. So we'll see. All right. And then next up was just a fun day. This wasn't actually for work or for anything. This was just, hey, let's go out and have some fun. I met up with some friends from Michigan at the Michigan City skate park. But my buddy Ben, he was riding the mini ramp, and I say mini ramp, but that thing is about 6 feet tall. But he was actually doing a run in that mini ramp, which actually kind of connected to a spine around the corner, and he did a full line where he went back and forth on the 6 foot, and then he kind of carved over up on the deck and then into the spine ramp of, about a 4, maybe 4.5 foot mini ramp, and then he proceeded to go back and forth, kind of shredding the spine. So I basically took the selfie stick and I ran back and forth with him. One thing that I love about this clip is that it really shows the image stabilization in the camera. I'm not using a gimbal, I'm not using anything. I'm literally just running back and forth with the camera. And then the fact that these POV cameras, and again, especially the 360 ones, they film everything. They're not filming just here or there, or they're literally filming the entire thing. So you can actually go back and re-edit your footage. So I actually did this split screen with him that actually shows me running with him. So I basically edited his run, and then I went back and I just turned the lens around and pointed it at myself and edited that angle and then put them together. So you're actually looking at a real time of me running around the ramp, and you can see how steady the footage is, but you can actually see me running back and forth up and over the spines, around the corners and everywhere. And I just thought it was kind of a fun way to, obviously show Ben ripping this thing, but also kind of show how cool the cameras actually do work. All right, and then back to work. Shooting a lot of these new videos that I'm doing called Run Ones, where I basically film my first run ever on a snowboard. So basically I pick out snowboards that I've never been on. I really like testing the boards, I really like testing the products, and I want to ride something that's brand new and see what's different about them. But I've been doing these shots where I literally get kind of these drone looking shots around the boards. And I started doing it a lot, and it's literally just the camera and me holding it on the stick and kind of passing it around. So you can see obviously on the ride Burnout, got a pretty cool shot there. This Nitro team board obviously went full 360 all the way around. One of my favorite shots was this K2 Hypnotist because I really wanted to show a shot. You can see I'm usually a pants over the high back kind of guy. But on this one, I wanted to get a shot where you could actually see the graphic in the middle of the K2 Hypnotist, and then you can see they did that tie-in graphic on the high back. But again, getting those full 360-degree shots. And then on this name dropper, I did the full 360. Not only did I go around, but then I stuck it through my legs too. And what I really love about these shots is that you can frame them up afterwards, so you don't see my arms doing a bunch of crazy things. All you see is the camera going around, going through my legs, going in, out, all the way around, and you really get these kind of cool drone looking shots. And as long as you move the camera smooth, you can get a nice smooth shot. Last up, I gotta do this one shot that absolutely is not a technical shot at all. I guess it's a little technical because it involves riding and doing it at the same time, but kind of a last run of the day. Oh my God, what if I took the camera and passed it between my legs? So I was out riding this Solomon Sleepwalker and it worked. Literally jumped over the jump, and it wasn't a really big jump. It was probably like a 10-15 foot table, but just passed it through the legs and just thought it was a fun shot in general. But yeah, I really love using these point of view cameras, especially the 360 ones, because you can obviously shoot now, edit later, and you can obviously kind of capture these different images and capture different angles. You can literally film two people at the same time, and it really opens up a wide range of just shots and, you know, a way to be creative shooting. And I actually love filming people with these cameras just as much as I like riding too. So kind of getting that idea of like, oh, what if the camera did this? And you can literally make it happen because these cameras are so small and you can get them into little areas and you can move them around. Definitely got a few more ideas. So hopefully we'll get some more videos going here soon and you can see some more creative shots that I'll be getting in the future. So definitely keep checking back.